and periodically account for all actions taken on behalf of the trust so their performance can be assessed. This transparency allows beneficiaries to monitor the trustee and enforce their rights.
Okay, and what about just basic admin stuff?
Right, the duty of prudent administration. This encompasses exercising reasonable care, skill, and caution with regard to all aspects of trust property management. It includes securing physical possession of property within a reasonable time, properly maintaining real property, and rigorously segregating personal property from trust assets.
Keep trust assets separate from their own.
Absolutely critical. The trustee is only liable for a breach of this specific duty if it directly causes damage to trust property. For example, if Sterling Bank and Trust fails to secure insurance on the Sterling family vacation home held in trust and it burns down, they could be liable.
Okay, this next part feels crucial too. This is where the bifurcated nature of a trust really plays out day to day. Who gets what? What's considered income for one beneficiary and what's principal reserved for another? This sounds like it could get incredibly contentious.
It is a very common area of dispute and a frequent topic for examination, precisely because it divides the benefits between different classes of beneficiaries. The general rule for principal and income allocations is that life beneficiaries are entitled to trust income, while remainder beneficiaries are entitled to trust principal.
Okay, life gets income, remainder gets principal, but what counts as which?
Good question. For specific allocation rules, things like stock distributions, whether classified as a dividend or a stock split, are typically treated as principal because they represent changes in the underlying capital structure.
Change to the core asset.
Right. An amount received in exchange for trust property, like selling a house or a stock, is allocated to principal, while an amount received for the use of property, like rent, interest, or cash dividends, is generally income.
Okay, sale proceeds are principal, usage payments are income. What about costs?
Trustee compensation and other administrative costs are usually split. Half charged to income, half to principal, reflecting the benefit to both groups. The trustee must allocate all assets fairly, balancing the interests of both income and remainder beneficiaries, unless the trust instrument specifically tells them otherwise.
So the trustee has to walk a fine line, almost a tightrope, to make sure everyone feels fairly treated without inherently favoring one group. Is there a traditional way of doing this versus a more modern, perhaps more flexible approach? Because investment strategies have changed, right?
Yes, and this is a key modern development to understand. The traditional approach, which is now a minority rule, was quite rigid. It basically said any money generated directly by trust property was income, dividends, interest, rent, and any money generated in connection with a conveyance or appreciation of trust property was principal. Proceeds from selling stock, capital gains. It was a very black and white rule.
Sounds simple, but maybe too simple.
Exactly. The modern approach, embodied by the Uniform Principal and Income Act, UPAIA, which is the majority rule today, gives the trustee much more flexibility. Under UPAIA, the trustee has an adjustment power.
Adjustment power.
Yeah, they can recharacterize items and reallocate them between income and principal as reasonably necessary to fulfill the trust purposes and, crucially, to ensure impartiality between income and remainder beneficiaries.
So they can shift things around.
Within limits, yes. This allows the trustee to adapt to changing economic conditions and investment strategies, like maybe favoring growth stocks that don't pay dividends over high dividend stocks, and still maintain fairness. They might be able to move money from what might traditionally be considered principal to income, or vice versa, to hit a reasonable target for both groups.
That sounds much more practical for modern investing.
It generally is. And this is another excellent point for analysis on an exam, discussing both the traditional and modern rules and applying the modern one, explaining why the modern rule offers this flexibility.
Okay. So if a trustee, even one as capable as Sterling Bank and Trust, breaches one of these many duties, what are the consequences? What are the trustee's liabilities?
When a trustee breaches a duty, the beneficiaries have a clear right of enforcement. The trustee is personally responsible for any lost profits, lost interests, and any other losses directly resulting from that breach.
They have to pay it back out of their own pocket.
Potentially, yes. Beneficiaries can sue the trustee for damages, known as a surcharge action, or even seek the trustee's removal if the breach is severe. The aim is to make the trust whole again.
And what if there's more than one trustee, or a trustee hires an agent? Are they liable for others' acts?
Good question. In cases of co-trustees, they are generally jointly and severally liable for each other's acts if they participate in or permit a breach. Those specific circumstances might reduce individual liability, like if one trustee formally dissented from a bad decision.
Okay, so they should watch each other.
Definitely. A trustee is generally not liable for a predecessor's breach, but the successor trustee does have a duty to take reasonable steps to compel the predecessor to deliver trust property and to redress any known breach of trust committed by the predecessor.
So the new trustee has to clean up the old trustee's mess.
They have a duty to try, yes. And the trustee is also generally liable for an agent's breach if the trustee directed or concealed the agent's act, failed to exercise reasonable supervision, or improperly selected the agent in the first place.
Okay. What about liability to third parties?
As for third parties, a trustee is personally liable on contracts entered into and for tortious acts committed while acting as the trustee, unless the contract or tort specifically provides for recourse only against the trust property. However, the trustee can seek indemnity or reimbursement from the trust if they were acting within the scope of their duties and without negligence.
So they can usually get the trust to cover it if they acted properly.
Usually, yes. And if a trustee improperly transfers property as a result of a breach of trust to a third party who is not a bona fide purchaser, meaning they didn't pay fair value or knew about the breach, a beneficiary or successor trustee may have the transaction set aside and recover the property for the trust.
Claw it back from someone who shouldn't have gotten it.
Exactly.
Finally, how does a trustee step down or get removed from this complex and demanding role? Sounds stressful.
It can be. A trustee may resign by providing at least 30 days' notice to the qualified beneficiaries, the settlor, if living, and any co-trustees, or by obtaining court approval. This ensures a smooth transition.
Okay, 30 days notice or court permission.
Right. And a trustee can be removed by the court for various reasons. Things like becoming incapable of performing their duties due to illness, materially breaching one or more duties, a serious conflict of interest arising, a serious conflict developing between the trustee and beneficiaries or co-trustees that impairs administration, or if the trust is just persistently performing poorly because of the trustee's actions or inaction.
So poor performance or bad behavior can get them fired by the court.
Essentially, yes. These grounds ensure that the trustee remains fit and capable of fulfilling their vital role, protecting the beneficiary's interests.
Wow. This has been an incredibly comprehensive deep dive into the what of trusts, from their fundamental structure to their various types, the rights of beneficiaries, and the extensive duties of those who manage them. Now, let's turn our attention to the how, for you, the listener, specifically for approaching an exam or crafting a compelling essay. How do you approach a trust's question, especially when it feels like there are so many interconnected rules and exceptions? What's the secret to breaking it down and showing your mastery of the subject?
This is where we bring it all together into a practical, actionable roadmap, your personal GPS for any trusts essay. Think of trusts analysis as having 5 core pillars. When you're tackling a trusts essay, whether for a bar exam or a detailed class assignment, these pillars should form the backbone of your structure.
5 pillars. Okay, I'm ready.
By systematically addressing each one, you ensure comprehensive coverage and a logical flow. The first pillar is always 1, creation and validity.
Start at the beginning. Does a trust even exist?
Exactly. You must always start here. Did a trust actually form? You need to assess all those must-have elements we discussed. Settler's intent, present intent, identifiable property, the rest, a trustee with duties, ascertainable beneficiaries, and a valid legal purpose.
Check all those boxes first.
Right. If any of these are missing, you might have an invalid trust, or perhaps a remedial trust instead. This is your absolute foundation. Without a valid trust, many of the subsequent issues might not even apply, or the analysis will fundamentally shift. And don't forget to address any statute of frauds or statute of wills issues here, if relevant.
So before I even think about who gets what or how it's managed, I need to know if there's even a legitimately formed trust to begin with. That saves a lot of wasted analysis down the line.
Exactly. Once you've established validity, move to the second pillar. 2, characterization.
What kind of trust is it?
Precisely. What type of trust is it? Is it a private express trust, a charitable trust, or a remedial trust? Is it inter vivos or testamentary? Is it revocable or irrevocable? This matters immensely because different rules apply to different trusts.
Right. Knowing the type tells you which rules to use.
Absolutely. Knowing if it's a charitable trust immediately cues you to consider cypress and the rule against perpetuities. Knowing if it's revocable dictates the rules for amendment or termination. Correctly characterizing the trust immediately narrows down the applicable legal rules and flags relevant issues.
Okay, pillar 2. Characterize the trust type. What's next?
The third pillar is 3, interpretation. This is where you delve into what the specific terms of the trust actually mean, especially concerning the beneficiaries and their interests.
What do the words mean for the people involved?
Yeah. How are their interests handled? Are they freely alienable or are there limitations? Do they have protection from creditors through spendthrift, support, or discretionary provisions? And how are future interests and class gifts handled? You'll apply the specific rules for these beneficiary protections and future interests here, considering how the language of the trust impacts the flow of benefits.
So after I know it's a trust and what kind of trust, then I figure out how the specific terms affect the people involved and their rights. Pillar 3. Interpret the terms.
That's right. Then we move to the fourth pillar. 4. Modification and termination.
Can it be changed or ended?
Exactly. Can the trust be changed or ended? This requires analyzing the different rules for revocable versus irrevocable trusts, considering beneficiary consent, settlers' consent, if living, and crucially, whether any material purposes remain that would block modification. You'd also consider scenarios involving judicial intervention due to unforeseen events, changed circumstances, or if the trust has become uneconomic. This pillar addresses the dynamic nature of trusts.
Pillar 4. Modification and termination.
Yeah.
Got it. What's the last one?
And finally, the fifth pillar. 5. Trust administration. This is where you examine the trustee's actions and responsibilities.
How did the trustee do their job?
Right. Did the trustee act properly in managing the trust? You'll analyze their core fiduciary duties: loyalty, no self-dealing; prudence, investments, impartiality; and the duty to inform and account. This pillar also covers how principal and income are allocated. Remember traditional versus modern UPAA.
Yeah.
And importantly, what are the consequences and remedies if a trustee breaches their duties, damages, removal, etc.?
Okay, pillar 5. Administration and trustee duties. Creation, characterization, interpretation, modification, termination, administration. That feels like a really solid framework. Think of these 5 pillars as your instant issue spotting checklist. If you hit all 5, you're almost guaranteed to cover every major issue on an essay and demonstrate a comprehensive understanding.
Precisely. To summarize, for your know before you go practical exam tips, these are the absolute essentials you should internalize. First, creation. Know the elements of a valid trust. Can you list them? Spot if they're present. Know what happens if one's missing. Second, characterization. Know the types of trusts: express, testamentary, charitable, remedial, and their key characteristics. Why does the distinction matter?
Right.
Third, interpretation. Know how to interpret trust terms, especially regarding beneficiary rights, creditor protection, spendthrift, support, discretionary, and future interests.
Okay.
Fourth, modification termination. Know how and when a trust may be modified or terminated. Understand the rules for revocable versus irrevocable, the role of material purpose, and judicial help. And fifth, administration. Know how principal and income are allocated, the trustee's duties, loyalty, prudence, impartiality, informing, and the remedies for breach.
That's a great checklist.
When you're structuring your essay, use this logical flow. Start with the validity and type, then interpret terms and beneficiary interests, move to modification termination if applicable, and finally thoroughly assess the trustee's administration. Always practice clear, concise writing. For each issue you spot, state the rule clearly. A trust is valid if, or a trustee owes a duty of loyalty. Then apply the specific facts from the problem. Highlight nuances, modern versus traditional rules, exceptions. Conclude each issue with the likely outcome. Using the precise language of trust law will definitely enhance your score.
That roadmap is truly invaluable. It takes something as complex as trust law and breaks it down into manageable logical steps for analysis. It feels like a clear pathway through that dense legal forest we mentioned earlier. What an incredible deep dive into the world of trusts. We've journeyed from the foundational concept of a bifurcated transfer through the essential parties and requirements for creation to the myriad ways trusts are characterized, whether express, charitable, or remedial.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. We then explored how beneficiary interests are interpreted, from their alienability to the critical protections of spendthrift and discretionary clauses, and even navigated the often confusing landscape of future interests. And of course, we unpacked how trust can evolve through modification or termination, and crucially, the extensive fiduciary duties that fall upon the trustee and their administration.
And this understanding from creation to termination and all the duties in between, it's not just about memorizing definitions, is it? It's about recognizing the intricate design of these instruments, their fundamental purpose in channeling a settler's intent, and the precise rules governing their adaptation to life's inherent complexities.
Yeah.
Whether you're preparing for a bar exam, crafting a crucial legal essay, or simply seeking to be better informed about how significant assets can be managed across generations, grasping these distinctions and frameworks really empowers you to navigate the legal landscape with more confidence and a deeper strategic understanding.
As we've seen, trusts are powerful, dynamic tools that offer incredible control and flexibility, allowing someone's wishes to extend far beyond their lifetime. But boy, they come with significant responsibilities and require careful attention to detail.
They certainly do.
The essence of trust law seems to be constantly balancing the settler's initial intent, the beneficiary's welfare, and the trustee's demanding duties, often through the lens of changing, unpredictable circumstances. What might seem like a rigid, unyielding legal structure is, in fact, a remarkably adaptable instrument designed to secure legacies and respond to life's unpredictable turns.
That's a great way to put it.
So here's a thought to leave you with. How might you apply this layered understanding of intent, duty, and flexibility to other areas where formal structures, be they legal, organizational, or even personal, meet the messy, dynamic reality of human relationships and unforeseen events?
That's interesting. We encourage you to review your own notes, perhaps even outline a practice essay using those 5 pillars we discussed, and consider how these concepts might apply in your own life or future studies.
That's all for this deep dive. We look forward to diving in with you again soon.